So here's a two-bank sinking snag line, also referred to as the step strap. And here we have a subject. Our assessment of our subject is a little different. Our subject does not have an airway. So what they need is a little different. Instead of stabilization, what they need is immediate extrication. We can't or we shouldn't go for them. If we can and we should, it's very important that we should get in the water and go get them, right? When we go get them, we focus on what is stuck to get them unstuck, then get them over to shore for our resuscitation efforts. Here, we can't or we shouldn't go for them. We do have access to two banks. So what we're going to do is we're going to send one team over to one side, and the other team will stay here. Okay. Now, we're going to throw a line across, again, from strong to weak, downstream of our subject, like this. Ideally, as we do this, we want to have slack in the line, so that right on the surface of the water, you'll see this big U of rope. We don't need to have any tension on it. We can't use a stabilization line of any sort, because when our subject is under the water and we're up on the surface, there's nothing to be able to grip onto. So what we need to do is we need to force the rope down underneath the surface of the water. This is easier said than done. In the past, we used to say join two heavy things together, but still the force of the current wants to bring those up. If we were to fill throw bags up with rope, wants to bring these up towards the surface of the water, and it can't get underneath our subject very well. What we're going to do here is a little bit different. We're going to get our hulks to stand in line. This is very important, that they stand pretty much in line with the foot of the subject, or just above the foot of the subject. They can't be down here. Okay? They have to be higher upstream. What they're going to do is they're going to wade out as far as they comfortably can into the water. They're going to take a carabiner. I'm going to clip it onto the line. They're going to have this holding onto their webbing, which is going to be in front of them. Okay? They're going to step up onto the webbing, push the webbing down, then pull the webbing up so that the carabiner ends up being down on the bottom of the river. And we're going to do that on both sides. Clip up webbing, step on the webbing. Now, this line here is going to be right down on the bottom of the river, as close into the water as possible, okay, towards the subject as possible. Now, over here, our rope tenders can pull. And when they pull, what they're doing is that the line is going to sink right down to the bottom of the river, right just upstream of our subject. You'll see that as we pull in, see how the rope slices down right underneath? Our goal is for it to slice right down to ideally get right at the foot of the subject. And once it's at the foot of the subject and we feel resistance pulling on this strap, it's okay for these guys to step off of the strap and now let it rise up, because we're in a position where we're snagging underneath. If we want, we can even take these clips off, carabiners off. Okay. So now that we have that and we can pull from this side, we might be able to pull and trigger their foot so that they now come out. And if that's the case, downstream safety needs to be ready to be able to rescue our subject. If we pull up, and instead of getting around their foot, we get around their waist, we can pull them up into this position. But if we keep on pulling, there's a likelihood that this could come up over top of their head and would slip out of the rope, doing what we refer to as the Houdini. So if we were to get ourselves in this position, some quick thinking would say, let's take another rope, let's throw it from strong to weak. Once we get it over on the weak side, let's clip a carabiner into the system. And now we can come up, bring this over top of the subject, clip it onto this line, pull down, and now we've converted our sinking snag line into a line and capturing our subject with an open cinch. And you got it, because you've seen this movie before. If we were to do that same thing, taking another carabiner and crossing over the line here and then pulling down, we're going to end up having something similar, but this time instead of with an open cinch, we're going to do the same thing with a closed cinch. we're now going to do our best to extricate this subject, pulling upstream, pull to pop, right? And now this side pulls in, this side lets out, this side holds tight, our subject gets over to shore. Once our subject's over on shore, what should these guys do? Well, we know that the answer is to get back and pack over on the strong side. So we're going to hold on with the appropriate hand, we're going to hold on here, we're going to move this back up, we're going to pendulum them across, and now all of our efforts can be placed on our subject, the blue boy, which might even include some form of resuscitation of pumping and blowing, and pumping and blowing. That's a 2-bank sinking snag line known as the step strap.